Welcome back to Out and About Today. I'm here with TEP's Dahron Johnson. I think I'd like to now shift the discussion to the anti-trans athlete bill that's sitting on the governor's desk right now. So it's passed the House and the Senate. And basically what it does, it builds on the law that was passed last year and takes it all from middle school to high school to now college, right? Can you tell me what it will do, what it means if it passes?
That's exactly right. So in the first half of this session that happened last year, they passed a bill that barred trans participation in middle schools and high schools, and then this year expands that to post-secondary education, public and private, intercollegiate and intramural play. So even those kind of more low-key sports on that are kind of just on one college campus, it even reaches down that far as well too. And the language of the bill specifically bars trans female participation. It's not. I'm glad for that, in the sense I don't want to see more people barred from competition, but I think that speaks to a particular type of fear-mongering that this legislation was really written to create and has as its primary purpose, rather than the forwarding of any specific public good.
Right. So basically, if the governor signs the bill, we're going to talk about it in a minute, this law, trans women have no place in sports in any educational realm.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Are there any consequences? You know, other states look at us, the federal government, at least right now, looks at Tennessee and thinks, you know, has spoken out that this is not okay. Is there any negative consequence that will happen if this, I mean, do we? I
think, I really feel like, and I apologize for cutting you off, but I really feel that all the consequences are negative, which is one of the reasons that this legislation is so problematic. Beyond the message that it sends to folks as young as 5th grade, right? Here in Davidson County, middle school starts in 5th grade, all the way through those growing years, those adolescent years, into those young adult years. We are sending a message through legislation like this that says, you're not worthy. You don't belong. You shouldn't, because of some intrinsic part of who you are. We're going to bar you from the track and field meets. We're going to bar you from the basketball court. We're going to bar you wherever competition is. And we know the benefits of sport precisely for the populations that this bill is targeting. We know the value of teamwork, of getting to know what it's like to move towards a common goal in a team setting. We know what it can do to a person's sense of self-worth to be able to accomplish goals like that in a team setting or in an individual sports setting if you're playing more of a one-on-one activity. And we know the sense of community that can be created in being involved in sports, and how long those tales can last into a person's adulthood. And we're willing to risk all of that. Our legislators are willing to risk all of that by focusing on the smallest percentage of a percentage of a percentage in a
I know it is. It's hard to even wrap your brain around. There's 80,000, Metro Davidson County students. I know we're not talking about the really small kids here, but when you think about how many, and I asked you before we started taping, what do the college athletes say? And I think there hasn't been a lot of data, but when I heard in one of the clips the legislator saying, a female college athlete worked her whole life to be ready to perform, and then it's going to be, and it's just what?
Yeah. Well, I think that there's the arguments for this legislation have been built on a lot of false equivalencies and a lot of look here, but think of this type of rhetoric. There are any number of places which one can enter into a conversation about this. But I feel that one of the things that is of most concern is that if the argument is, well, this person has an innate advantage because of the biological puberty they were able to go through, well, there's question about this, how good that research is, but at the same time, you're also trying to ban health care for trans youth. Right. So if they were able to follow through on the type of medical support, right, and have the and follow the medical advice of those that they trust with their care, then they might not go through the very puberty that you find concerning and that creates the changes that you then vilify right. to legitimize this legislation. The other part of it is that I've changed, right? I am not the person that you would have met 2.5, 3 years ago, and that's not just because I have a lot more hair than I did back then, right? But my fat has shifted around, my body has changed, my ability to recover has changed.
And you're talking about this because you are a competitive athlete still to this day.
That's
and have
correct.
Been for
many years.
Many years.
Since my late teens.
So you're in the arena, you have an opinion, and you're there.
Exactly, exactly. And I've had the great opportunity to toe the line with other women and be in the thick of competition. And while there certainly may have been questions along the line, I think that it's hard to tease out where questions that would just be out of curiosity because of meeting somebody new that you don't have a lot of opportunity to come across, because trans women make up a pretty small percentage of our overall population. But also how we separate those out then from the fears and the concerns that are raised by legislation that's meant specifically to do those things. Of course, people are going to be worried about a fire. If you're saying there's a fire, there's a fire. But
right.
if there isn't one, it's not on the people who are worried about the fire to say, oh, wait a second, I don't need to chill out about this. It's up to the people who are falsely creating the alarm in the first place. And yet those people, the folks who are falsely stoking these fears, just continue to add fuel to this non-existent fire.
Yeah, well, I think we've hit a good place to take another break.
Sure.
We'll be right back and we'll continue the discussion with Dahron Johnson with the Tennessee Equality Project. Stay with us.